So this session is going to be about using AI for immersive experiences at eBay. This is your last chance to make a run for it. Just to give a bit of background, the way I've been thinking about it is sort of the 2010s consumer demand within e-commerce and more broadly online became highly focused on personalized experiences. Now, that's not to say that we have completed that journey. Far from it. We are still very far from delivering personalization across the board and to the level of individualization that most consumers want. But I do see in the past couple of years what I think is kind of a similar shift or next step that's comparable to that massive wave of demand for personalization that all the companies were chasing in the early 2010s and really for the past decade. And that has to do with what I call immersive experiences. The demand for immersive experiences, I think, has been fueled by both demographic changes, which essentially is more Gen Z driving the market, and also advances in technologies which allow us to deliver these kind of experiences at scale on really just the mobile device. I'll get into definitions in a bit, but I'll just mention that when I say immersive experience, that term is used in different ways. I don't just mean virtual reality, I mean more broadly than that. This kind of shift that we're seeing in the past couple of years is more true than in online retail because of the massive shift that COVID just kind of took even more to the next level, away from brick and mortar stores towards online shopping. And really that leaves a big gap in people's ability to interact and experience with products ahead of buying them. So building immersive experiences at scale in real time and on mobile devices isn't still not a solved problem technologically because it presents a massive hurdle to the traditional approaches that have been tried and true for the past 20 years that are mostly coming out of more traditional, I shouldn't say traditional, but computer graphics approaches that have been around longer. eBay has been investing in AI-based development or computer vision-based development of immersive experiences to bridge that physical-digital divide, and we are sort of double downing in that space, believing that it will be key to the transformation of online shopping that we'll see in the next decade. So a lot of papers have been written on this and discussions around the difference between physical and online retail. It's typically in the context of highlighting the advantages of online retail over its physical counterpart. And you can see that you think about customer reach, cost of setup, operational cost, availability, etc. Most of the discussion is focused on the advantages that online retail has over physical retail, in the way in which it opens up to every mom and pop store a global reach of customers. And of course, that's very true for eBay. That's a core part of our value proposition. But what is much less discussed is the fact that as much as I love online shopping, and most of us do, it is still not the same like going to a store and actually interacting with the product in person. There's a study from Accenture where they surveyed several thousand people about their trust in buying something online versus buying at a store. And I think about 80% of respondents say that they only shop online because of convenience, but trust it less, that they trust the physical store experience more because they've touched, smelled, interacted with the product. And that's why within e-commerce, I think online retail, where you're talking about goods, is particularly suffering from this gap between physical and digital experiences. I think it's easy to overlook that because we don't quite have a solution yet, right? That's a longer term problem to solve, and we are going to focus on what we can solve now. But with the emergence of some pretty foundational shifts in what we can do with computer vision, that those limitations are becoming less of a hurdle. Now, getting to that definition of what we mean by immersive experiences, there's no good term. If you look at this online, you'll see it used in a lot of different ways. So I kind of have a working definition in the back of my mind as I think about this. That really we're talking about experiences that pull users out of their current awareness context into the digital awareness that you're trying to provide. Unlike going to a traditional online shopping or e-commerce experience where it's non-immersive and that you're very much able to multitask, you're sort of perusing, it's not really something that's pulling you on. We can think of immersive experiences as that group of experiences that are becoming more and more prevalent, where it's drawing you in. It's taking you away from that physical awareness into that experience that's digital. There's three common elements. There's sort of the sensory elements. Visual is the biggest one, but also sounds. Visuals tend to incorporate movement and 3D representation, and sounds that reduce the awareness breaking that kind of reading text would usually create. So if you're reading product description, that really prevents you from being able to fully engage with that product. Interactivity is another big element where users can engage with objects and environments via gestures, movements, voice, etc. And a key part of this interactivity is that you get the dynamic feedback. So it's not a one and done. You create a gesture that creates some change in that environment, and you get a feedback loop. Then you respond to that, and there's sort of a continuous feedback loop between user and what's typically called scene. And the third part is realism. And it doesn't mean things are realistic, as in, let's say, look like the real world. There are a lot of gaming environments that are actually probably at the forefront of this immersive experience trend. But they're realistic in the sense that objects, environments, and interactions follow an intuitive and predictable pattern. And those patterns really come from how we interact in the normal day-to-day physical world. They're meant to mimic the real way in which we engage with the environment. So examples on the simple side, video. It's, well, we all take video for granted. There's actually in the e-commerce space or in the online retail space, there is the prevalence of product, or the proportion of products that you can watch a video about is something like 0.0001%. So still by far the majority of products that are purchased online, there's not even video content to really at least see a little bit more immersively how they're used. Then you kind of go through the gamut with VR at the other end of the spectrum. Live streaming, some digital assistants have that same structure, they follow the same pattern, 3D and augmented reality. So the case study that I'll talk to you about is 3D visualization of products or items that we sell. And I'm using the term item here on purpose, and I'll explain in a moment why. So the primary definition is that online shoppers often don't have full confidence in purchase decisions. That same Accenture study that I referenced before also discusses how the rate of returns is several folds higher with online shopping than it is with retail shopping, which is basically the closest marker we can get to that customers don't have that full confidence ahead of purchase decision. And that's because it's hard for them to visualize what the product will actually look like from traditional descriptions and photos. And that runs the gamut of they can't visualize it because they have never seen a product like this in person, right? So there are many products that people buy that they've never actually seen one like it. I recently purchased an electric pressure washer for a deck. Online, I'd never used it, never seen one before, so I had no sense of size. I really couldn't even grasp what that would look like. So I ended up going to Home Depot, to be honest, before I bought it on eBay, because I needed that confirmation ahead of the purchase decision. As you get bigger, as things are more expensive and bigger in size, the ramifications of buying something you don't want in the end are bigger, right? The stakes are bigger. If you buy a sofa, we all know how much of a pain it is if it doesn't fit, or if it doesn't have the material you thought it would have, etc. Additionally, you can think of some elements that are even more, they're not unique to eBay, but they're particularly important to us. So how much wear and tear does a used product have? I think those of you who've been on eBay know that a lot of the core value proposition there is around pre-owned products, and it is very hard to trust from just photos the amount of wear and tear that is being represented. Customers want to see the details of any blemishes a product has. This is particularly true in collectibles, which again is one of eBay's big areas that we play in. Trading card, it's mind-boggling to me, but we see, for example, trading cards being sold for multiple millions of dollars. Mid condition could be worth $1 million. Sort of halfway condition could be worth $100,000. So the ramifications can be huge, not just for customer satisfaction, but for the value of the items themselves. And of course, that's kind of an extreme example, but it's true for any collectible item. And finally, customers who don't have a lot of experience with a specific seller, as is the case on a two-sided marketplace like eBay, have even harder time having that full confidence that what is being described is accurate. Now, in the context of eBay, it gets a little bit more difficult. So we can't just solve this problem with technology because there's a constraint on the solution we can provide, which really comes down to the fact that sellers can't spend a lot of time or money on creating the kind of rich, immersive experiences that would be required to better portray their objects. So eBay is a two-sided marketplace. When we say customer, we don't mean buyer. We actually mean either buyer or seller. And we are equally committed to serving both sides of that equation. And so we can't just think of technologies that would work for the buyers. We have to think of them within the context of what sellers can do and what they're able, how much time they're able to spend. So sellers will tell us that they can only spend a few minutes on a listing, when they're per listing of each product. Some sellers may be mom and pop kind of outfits that are selling dozens of items per day. They can't start doing complex 3D rendering of 20 objects each day that takes them an hour per item, etc. They don't have access to professional equipment in most cases, so like 3D scanners, etc. And they also don't have, in most cases, access to advanced technology expertise. So the vision that we have is to put in the hands of every seller the ability to rapidly generate a 3D view that fully and accurately shows buyers what their products look like using just their mobile device. Now, the reason that this is very challenging from a technology perspective is that the requirements for this kind of experience in the context of eBay has a number of very stringent requirements. So first of all, in terms of product size, there's a really broad range from low centimeter scale, like a a diamond ring to multimeter scale, right, like a car or a cell phone. Shape is highly variable. Different product categories look very different, and as I'll mention in a moment, 3D rendering approaches that are used for 99.99% of 3D visualizations that you see today are highly sensitive to shape. And so it would be basically like starting from scratch each time you encounter a new a new shape. The product material is highly variable. We have soft, hard, smooth, rough, dull, shiny, etc. And then there are some materials like translucent materials that are particularly challenging to render with typical computer graphics. The visual quality that we need has to have very high fidelity and hyper photorealism. The reason is the worst thing we can do is if you go to many brand homepages, all of our favorite brands, so not retailers, but the actual manufacturers, whether it's Coach or Diesel, etc. They'll have different 3D things being featured, and they'll often feel slightly cartoony, almost too good. And the worst thing we could do is actually put technology in the hands of our sellers that misrepresents the item, not because they wanted to misrepresent it, but because our technology makes it too perfect or cartoony or the color is off or any of those sort of things. So this was probably the most important requirement for us, is really making sure that it is completely true to life. We also have to have 360-degree omnidirections and close and zoom. The capture, as I mentioned, needs to require no additional equipment, so just the mobile device, and then processing needs to be fully automated. So just to kind of bring to life a little bit of what these requirements mean, you might think, the variation across categories, what does that mean? Well, a laptop has one shape, a phone has another, a shoe has a third one. So those shapes really matter in terms of your ability to create the 3D renders. You might think, all right, well, within each category at least, you should be able to use the same model. And unfortunately, a shoe, yes, often looks like that, but sometimes it looks like this, like a lobster. I pulled this one up because I actually bought this on my trip down in Florida. But you can imagine that the shape variation can be very big even within a category. Similarly, a handbag could look the way you expect a handbag to look, but it can also look like a tomato or a roller skate or a character from Dark Crystal. For those of you from the 80s, you'll recognize it. You can see that the material, the shape, so much of these things are unique, and it's not as if we know that in advance, right? We need to make it work for any of these things, because we're not going to tell a seller, oh, if your handbag looks like a roller skate, use this approach, and if it looks like a character from Dark Crystal, use a different one, right? We need a generalized approach. So as I mentioned, what you'll see 99.99% of 3D that you'll see today uses is an approach called photogrammetry, which has a lot of limitations in the context of the requirements I just talked about. First, on the capture side, it requires a rig. These actually have come down significantly. A rig can make a consumer-grade rig that costs $100 with a turntable and very simple light box. But still, we have millions of sellers. We're not going to tell millions of sellers go out. We actually have hundreds of millions of sellers. We're not going to tell them go out and purchase a rig to create a 3D rendering. We really need to be able to control the lighting, the positioning, etc., in an automated way that is invisible to the sellers. Secondly, on the processing side, the photogrammetry is 3D model based. As I mentioned, there'll be a model of a shoe, there'll be a model of a sofa, of a car, etc. That is really not extensible across different shapes, materials. That's my own timer telling me to shut up. So I'm almost done, 2 more minutes. on the processing side, as I mentioned, each one of these shapes has to have its own 3D model. That would not work in the context of what we're trying to do. And then finally, there is manual cleanup. If you go on some of these sites that 3D artists go to sort of contract work, you'll see that there's always an output that requires some cleanup. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 2 hours, depending on the complexity of it. What I'm showing here on the right is sort of a typical output for a shoe. Again, if you want to scale this up to thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of items per day, there's no way of doing that if you have to put an hour of manual cleanup behind each one of these. So what we really opted to do instead is, is to take a computer vision approach where first with the camera system on the phone, we can guide the seller and automatically adjust for conditions that the rig would do otherwise, so it becomes rig free. Secondly, with a model-free computer vision sort of 3D neural approach, we are much more generalizable across categories and different shapes, materials, etc. And then at the end, there's no cleanup. Actually, I shouldn't even say 100% automated cleanup. Inherently in this method, there is no cleanup. So just to kind of give you a sense of, what we're talking about is an example here on the left. You can see, hopefully you can see that the rendering of the metal is very problematic. On the left, I'm showing the traditional approach versus computer vision on the right, where the rendering of the metal surfaces is very realistic, high fidelity. On the right, you can see the stitching is not blurry. You can really tell the difference between this fabric versus this leather versus this metal, etc. So it's really representing the true-to-life understanding of what the thing is. We were having issues with accessing this video, so instead I will just have to show you the next one that isn't the handbag, which is the shoe one. So just to kind of let it linger for a moment, that you can see the level. I hope that the projector image also shows the level of fidelity and detail, etc. Also, because it's rendering on the fly, you can zoom in as much as you want with no lossiness, etc. So next steps, we'll be releasing our latest 3D visualization for a limited number of categories very soon. We'll then expand to additional categories next year. We have been working on a number of infrastructural enhancements to enable full-scale rollout. So the limitation of this, which I didn't mention, is that typically training each of these models would take hours to days. We've been able to bring it down significantly. We're continuing to work on that with some partners like NVIDIA. And we're making broader investments in our immersive experiences overall to bring these kinds of capabilities to our sellers. So as a wrap-up note, I'll say we're not in the business of creating experiences, we're in the business of building tools for our sellers to create experiences, which makes our job a lot harder because now you have to create tooling that is very easy to use, generalizable, etc. But it's also what makes AI really hugely beneficial for us as we're building out our immersive experience strategy. Thank you very much.